All right, we're back. Titans Chalk moving along on this Monday night after a Titans loss. Now 1-2 on the year. Phone line still open. 737-7767 is the number. Steve's been waiting a while. I appreciate that, Steve. You are now up here on Titans Talk.
Okay, thank you very much. As an original season ticket holder, just got a couple of quick comments. First thing is the offensive line does not seem to be holding up as well as I thought it would. It looks like, especially with Oakland, they were pushing our line around pretty bad, our offensive line pretty bad. As far as Mariota goes, I would say the play calling, it's typical Titan. You know what they're going to run. You know what they're going to do. The play calling has got to change. You've got to have some safety valve for Mariota, or you've got to have some difference in the play calling because it's too routine. Over the last 8 years, it's been, if you don't make it on a second run, first run, second run, then you're going to drop it, pass it, or whatever. You got to do some changing up, and you're leaving him vulnerable to a hard rush. So I'd look at mixing it up. At least the offensive line needs to do something different. Switch them around, put a big guy on the right or whatever, but something needs to change. As far as the Titans, they've been losing for the last 8 years. I wouldn't doubt if they don't come up through this year that you might see new owners down the road. Just my thoughts. Thank you very much.
Yeah, the ownership question is one that's been brought up a lot, Steve, obviously over several years here because there's been such uncertainty since Bud Adams died. I think Amy Adams-Strunk has done her best to try to put those questions to rest in the way she's gone about her business since really taking over as the controlling owner about a year and a half ago now. It was March of 2015. And since she's come in, she's hired a team president in Steve Underwood. She fired the coach, hired a new coach, fired the GM, hired a new GM. She's bought a home here in Nashville. She's spent way more time around the facility than we've seen from Titans ownership in many moons. She was at all the training camp practices. She's been at every game this year. They redid the facility, put $75 million or something like that into it. That, to me, doesn't strike me as an owner or an ownership group that wants to sell this team. That, to me, is an ownership group that understands the disconnect, that they need to get involved. They need to show themselves a little bit more to this community, and they want to figure out a way to provide a winner. Now, it's not here yet, but I think they're showing some of the investments and pouring in some of the resources that Titans fans have essentially been begging for a few years now. That's a positive. I think when you talk about the offensive line from the game, yeah, I don't think they were great yesterday. I think what you have to look at is the Raiders have a pretty loaded front 4 or 5 that they'll bring at you. They have a lot of different formations and where they'll bring pressure from. I think that hurt the Titans some yesterday. I think at times they became very predictable when they needed to throw, as you talked about. The biggest thing I had an issue with yesterday from the game in terms of the play calling or how the offense went, the Raiders are not a great defensive football team. Okay up front, but not great in the secondary, and I think you can run the football at them. I think where they're best at is I think they're best at rushing the passer. And the Titans had success almost immediately yesterday running the football. And I think too often they almost got too cute at times yesterday and didn't just say, look, we're running at – DeMarco Murray averaged 7 yards a carry yesterday. Why not just hand him the ball and see what he can get you? I think they didn't go to the well enough. He ends up with 114 yards. He only had 16 carries. If you have a guy having that good of a day, you want him in the 20 carry range at least. Derrick Henry ran the ball fairly effectively. He didn't have that many carries. I think the Titans could have run the ball 30 times yesterday, and I think they would have been successful. And I think the offense would have been better because at some point you would have forced the Raiders to start pulling in and loading in on that box, and now all of a sudden maybe you create some space for those guys on the outside. We talked about that earlier. The wide receivers aren't good enough on their own to just say, hey, go make a play. Go run this route. You're going to be open and make the catch for us. Titans don't have the guys to do that. Maybe Kendall Wright when he gets back. Delaney Walker's a guy when he's healthy and out there. But neither one of those guys were in the game yesterday. And when you look at those other guys, they're not making those plays. So that's where the running game, to me, has to be the weapon. You get that box to pull in. You get 7, 8 guys in the box. Now, all of a sudden, maybe you can create some space. And now, all of a sudden, the job for those guys gets a little bit easier. And that, to me, is how the Titans have to operate. And if I was disappointed in the play calling or the offense yesterday, that would be my chief concern. That you ran the ball so effectively, and you've talked about being a smash-mouth football team. Why were there not more carries for Murray? Why were there not more carries for Henry? Why was that not the focal point to open everything else up? 737-7767 is our number. Still time for you guys to get in and give us your thoughts on this Titans game from yesterday. We'll also get inside the locker room next. John Burton's locker room report from yesterday. And Titan safety Rashad Johnson helps break down some of the key factors of the game, including DeMarco Murray and the success of the running game. So stay tuned. More to get to here. Titans Talk is on your television on News Channel 5+.